These 5 opening scenes, these cold opens, I think are probably some of the best opening to films I've ever seen. The interesting thing about telling a story, the interesting thing about cinema is how quickly can the filmmaker make you invested in the story that you're about to watch. Especially in YouTube culture, this is becoming more and more and more important for filmmakers to really get a handle on. And I have 5 examples of films, both older and not so old, but a few years old, that are really, really great examples. The first thing I want to start with is I want to kind of give a few examples of like methods that you could take when jumping into a film. So the first one is you can grab the audience's attention and interest with spectacle. Another way is to take the opening scene of your film to really establish the setting of the film, to really establish the relationships. So an example would be a movie like Up, right? That everyone knows the beginning of Up. It's like a 5 to 10 minute little sequence that makes you completely heartbroken, but it establishes the story and the characters super well before we jump into the rest of the story. Another example is literally just setting up the genre. So if you think about the first Scream movie, I know the character that gets killed at the beginning of that film is sort of important to the story, but honestly, it's kind of just setting up the genre of the story that we're in. So it's just kind of here's what this film's gonna be like. And in some ways that also introduces the villain in the first scene as well. We know from like The Dark Knight, the very first scene of that introduces the Joker, the Heath Ledger Joker. So you can kind of establish a genre and as well as introduce your villain. Another really good example is to flash forward to create intrigue and mystery, right? To at the very beginning of the film, drop in somewhere else in the film, right? Without context, without knowing the characters or anything. And it's just a really, well played scene. So it just grabs your attention to be thrusted into this story. And you're thinking like, how is this going to happen? Like, where is this story going to take us to get to that scene, right? That seems exciting. And then honestly, this is kind of my personal favorite. It's just kind of the WTF intros. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like giving an introduction without any context of what the story is. And it's absolutely something we've never seen in a story before. And actually, my very favorite film introduction of all time is this WTF kind of intro. So let's start with my probably 5th favorite introduction to a movie, and it is The Prestige. The very first shot is just these hats that are just in the forest, and you're like, what are these hats supposed to be? What's the significance of this? There's
Are
no
you watching closely?
There it is. Are you watching closely?
Every magic trick consists of 3 parts, or acts. The first part is called the pledge.
And I know the Prestige jumps around all over the place in the story. Like it's telling the story all jumbled up. It's actually kind of like operates kind of like a U, and Chris Nolan like tells the story based on that. And the middle of the story is kind of really where the end of the film is. But this is really interesting because this is the end of the film also. So it's kind of flashing forward. It's like a technique called book ending, and Christopher Nolan does this a lot.
The magician shows you something ordinary. A deck of cards, a bird, or a man.
This is just really good because you're literally, as you're watching this, you are just thinking, what is the context of any of this? We know it's about magicians. It opens with, are you watching closely? And then it's just this random shot with this old guy and the birds, and now they're in a stage. Like there's so many moments that's like, we need more context here, but it really gets you to lean in, right?
He shows you this object. Perhaps he asks you to inspect it. To see that it is indeed real. But of course, it probably isn't.
You think you're going? Part of the bloody act, you fool!
This is so good because we're already jumping right into the story. We have no context of any of this, and we're trying to figure out what's the significance of these characters. And you can feel in the music the suspense rising, but we're like, to what? What's the suspense rising toward, right? This is kind of like that WTF moment where it's like, what's this electrical machine? What's going on here? The production value is awesome. I love it.
The second act is called The Turn. The magician takes the ordinary something and makes it do something extraordinary. Now, you're looking for the secret, but you won't find it, because of course, you're not really looking. You don't really want to know. You want to be fooled. But you wouldn't clap yet, because making something disappear isn't enough. You have to bring it back. That's why every magic trick has a third act, the hardest part, the part we call the prestige.
The Prestige truly is an amazing film. I think it's probably top 3 of Chris Nolan's films. What's super cool about this is that it's doing a multitude of things, right? It is giving us the idea of what the Prestige is. It's setting us into the world that we're supposed to live in, right? It's a timepiece. And there's 2 things happening. It is the Michael Caine voiceover while he's demonstrating to the little girl with the bird, the 3 acts of a magician's trick. And simultaneously, we're seeing that play out later on in the story. So this is kind of bookending or flashing forward. He's taking multiple types of intros to a film while also explaining the concept of what the Prestige is, right at the top of the film. So my next favorite movie intro is actually just a movie that's really special to me and to a lot of people. But I think for it being the first of a franchise of movies, it really set up the vibe of what these movies were going to be from the very beginning. The music, the tone, the setting, everything. I thought it was really good, and it really captured my imagination the first time I watched it. And it is Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. Listen to that. Ship comes in through the fog. So up to this point, it's just eerie. It's kind of frightening, and it's just establishing this almost tapping into the horror genre a little bit, right? With this really innocent young voice creepily singing into the ocean's void. Yeah, you know? And it just sets up musically, and with the shots and everything, it's just a perfect setting for the entire story that's going to follow.
Quiet, Missy. Cursed pirates sail these waters. You don't want to bring them down in a snow, do you?
Mr. Gibb.
Getting right into the pirates and the curse, right? And into the superstition of pirates, which is a huge part of the story. It motivates a lot of the characters, their superstition.
She was singing about pirates. Bad luck to be singing about pirates with us mired in this unnatural fog. Mark my words.
Consider them marked.
Bad luck to have a woman on board, too. Even a miniature one.
I think it'd be rather exciting to meet a pirate.
I intend to see to it that any man who sails under a pirate flag or wears a pirate brand gets what he deserves.
This is setting up also the characters in a very significant way. It also is creating a lot of mystery around the idea of pirates in this world.
I'm concerned about the effect this subject will have upon my daughter.
Building relationships, all right?
Actually, I find it all fascinating.
Yes, that's what concerns me.
We're just sifting through characters here to try to get to know them a little bit more. We're also getting a very clear picture of who Elizabeth is as a young girl, which is going to lead to her motivations and her own personal decision-making and her own ambitions later in the film as she gets older. And right here, we're hearing the music building, and it's mysterious and creepy. I swear, the soundtrack, I think it was Hans that did the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack. He truly knocked it out of the park.
Look, a boy! There's a boy in the water!
As he does all of his soundtracks, if we're being honest.
Mary, Mother of God.
Here we go. Look at that. The cool visuals of this, not just being in the fog on the ocean on a really awesome ship, but then seeing in the opening scene a ship that's on fire. We feel threatened. Everything is being set up so brilliantly here.
A lot of good it did them. Everyone's thinking it, I'm just saying it. Pirates.
Elizabeth, I want you to accompany the boy. He'll be in your charge. Take care of him.
All right, now we're establishing Will and Elizabeth in the very first scene, right?
It's okay. My name's Elizabeth Swan.
Will Turner.
You're a pirate.
We're doing so much setup in this opening scene for the entire film. We're establishing almost everybody of significance in this film except for Jack in this opening scene, which is truly incredible, honestly, and Barbossa. But actually, Barbossa's there. The Black Pearl is there.
His name's William Turner. That's all I found out.
In this opening scene. I swear, some of these sets and these visuals of the sweeping camera going over and around and revealing like different parts of the ship, when all of this is like practical, it's so incredibly beautiful and looks so much better than honestly all of the animated last two pirate films that they did, right? This looks so much more better. This is so much more engaging visually. All right, we're establishing the Aztec gold. What he was mentioning earlier about cursed pirates, there is the, the reason for the curse. And they're the cursed pirates themselves and the Black Pearl boat, the whole story. This opening scene just does so much legwork, and it honestly, I would say for indie films, this is difficult because it has to set up. This is setting up for a feature. If it was going to be like a short indie film, you can't do this much setup. In fact, it's actually setting up way too much story than like a short indie would be able to pack into it. But this is just a really strong opening scene for a film that I am ready and willing to just ride the whole time with. My next favorite opener to a film is from Mission Impossible 3. Let's check it out.
We've put an explosive charge in your head.
It opens with, we've put an explosive charge in your head, and we have no context for what that is. What that even means.
The rabbit's foot, where is it?
Rabbit's foot. What is that?
I gave it to you.
Ethan. Where's the rabbit's foot?
What are you saying? That wasn't it? What I gave you?
These close-up, just handheld cameras, it's just completely raw emotion from these two characters facing off each other. Ethan in a very vulnerable position, the villain with all the power in this scene, and asking about stuff the audience has no clue about the context of the rabbit's foot, who the person is, who the villain is, right? The audience has no clue. This is an example of flashing forward to create mystery and intrigue, and it's really well done.
I'm gonna count to 10. You're gonna tell me where the rabbit's foot is, or she dies.
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Do you understand?
1.
You listen to me. I got exactly what you asked for. Did you want something else?
2.
Talk to me. We can talk. Like gentlemen.
3.
All right.
What's cool about this is that it almost seems like Ethan is going through the different stages of grief as the numbers are continuing to climb.
I know where the rabbit's foot is. I can help you.
The way you helped me on the airplane?
You put the gun down. I'm not talking to you like this.
That's your choice. 4.
Rabbit's foot's in Paris. You want to know where in Paris? Then let her go. Because you will
It's
never.
not in Paris. 5.
You kill her, you do this. You get nothing. Are you listening to me? The only way you're gonna get what you want is for you to. You think I'm playing? You think I'm playing? You don't think I'll do it? 7!
The raw emotion coming off of these characters is truly the best I think that any of the Mission Impossible movies have. This was probably not just the best opening scene of any of the Mission Impossibles. This might be the best scene in all of the Mission Impossible movies. Like, just straight up the best scene.
I'm gonna kill you. I swear to God, I'm gonna kill you. 8! Please, don't do this. Just let her go. I can figure out how to get whatever you
9!
want. I want to help you. I want to help you get whatever you want. But you gotta do what's right. What you know is right. No. No. No.
10.
And then going from that right into the Mission Impossible theme, what a strong use of flashing forward, because it's probably one of the most kind of face-to-face intense moments in the entire film. So to open your film with that, with no context of Rabbit's Foot, who are these characters? What is the journey that's led Ethan Hunt to this point, right? It's brilliant. I got 2 more. My second to most favorite intro is honestly what a lot of people's is Saving Private Ryan. I'll just play a few moments of that one. I don't want to play the whole battle scene because it's long. It's also pretty violent. And if someone hasn't seen this, I don't want to ruin it for them, but I'll just play just to give you a vibe of what it's like. D-Day. This is how the film opens up. And I know technically this isn't the very first scene to the film, actually. It is in the first 10 minutes of the film. Really what the beginning of this film is an older version of Matt Damon's character, the guy who plays Private Ryan, going to a gravesite, a military gravesite, and looking at it. That's a little bit dull, honestly. I probably would have avoided that scene, but Steven Spielberg wanted to do it. I think everyone remembers this as being the opening scene. Either way, it is very close to the top, and I can't just ignore it because it's so valuable. The production value of this film is so wild. I couldn't imagine hearing that, knowing the danger that they're about to run into, and hear 30 seconds, God be with you.
Fast and clear those murder holes. 5 men to seize the opportunity. 1 man to race down. Your weapons. Keep those actions clear.
All right, I'm not going to play the whole thing. This will knock your socks off. If you've never seen Saving Private Ryan, or if you have seen it, it's worth just watching the movie again. It's truly a very impactful scene. The opening scene to Saving Private Ryan with D-Day it's unforgettable, and I think it's a lot of people's favorite movie, probably favorite scene of all time in cinema. This is just honestly, if you were to think of it tactfully, this is grabbing attention with spectacle. And the spectacle here is like very violent, but also like very visceral and realistic as to what D-Day must have been. So there's a lot of emotional ties to the spectacle of Saving Private Ryan. This is an example of spectacle on a lot of ways. Now, my absolute favorite cold open of all time when it comes to movies is actually not even my favorite movie, but it by far is the best example of what a WTF kind of moment to open your film is. And honestly, there might be a lot of people that haven't watched this film. And if you haven't, this might blow you away a little bit. But if you have, you will probably remember it well. It is the film Looper with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis.
Shay, il est là. Vous avez.
There's a lot going on here. So you're just kind of thinking, what is this? I remember the first time I watched that, I was like, what the crap just happened? And it does it all in literally 45 seconds. Like, it blows you away and gets you immediately hooked to what is this movie about in 45 seconds. I think that the way you open a film is probably one of the most artistic things you could spend a lot of time on for your movie. And if we're being honest, a lot of indie filmmakers kind of don't pay a lot of attention to it. A lot of filmmakers are just like, what is like the natural idea that would get people into my story? And so a lot of indie filmmakers, a lot of short film filmmakers start with the character waking up in the morning, like getting ready for the day. Like, that is one of the most boring intros anyone could ever do. And so I think it's really cool to check out and analyze and really break down and understand why certain filmmakers chose the intro that they did for the story that they're telling. And if you do it right, it can really stick in people's minds. Even if someone doesn't necessarily like your film, or it's not their favorite film that they've ever watched, their intro, the intro to the film, could be something that they really respect and remember regardless of how they felt about the rest of the film. I hope this was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment. Let me know what your favorite movie intros are and why they're your favorite. I'll see you next time.